We are back with Dr. Rosh Khan. Rosh, good afternoon and welcome again to CWS as it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Selwyn. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
You're welcome. Dr. Rosh Khan, entrepreneur, social media guru, and digital marketing consultant, startup coach, CEO of Franklin Covey Guyana Masterclass Institute, Social Rank Media. Rosh, this is just a little snippet of your bio, which is a good thing in the interest of time. But what I want to take this opportunity to tell our audience that you will be coming on several weeks in a row to do a series of what are we going to call them, Rosh? Seminars?
Yeah, sure. I mean, webinars, seminars. What we're really going to do, episodes, if you will, is really just dive into entrepreneurship, Selwyn, and really excited about that.
Awesome. Well, let's get started, Rosh. The format with you, I'm not going to ask too many questions unless you say something that I feel I want to dive into. But let's start with, why are you an entrepreneur, Rosh?
I think we hear about this term, right? Entrepreneurship, and I think it's everywhere, Selwyn, right? You'd agree that it's in magazines, it's in conferences. There are thousands of books written about it. There are Facebook groups about this. It seems to be this really there seems to be a lot of buzz, around entrepreneurship, and I think with that, different people have a different take on it. There are different definitions, there are different categories, there are different ways to think about entrepreneurship. And for me personally, why I'm an entrepreneur, I think it's because I'm a problem solver. I think there are a lot of challenges out there. I think there are a lot of problems out there, and entrepreneurship is one of the tools, one of the approaches that can really solve them. Ties in me personally, Selwyn. People who know my backstory know that I have a background in medicine, and then I made that leap, that jump, if you will, into entrepreneurship. And a big part of that was because I saw entrepreneurship as a vehicle towards ultimately achieving these objectives that I wanted to achieve. I said it on your show before that business must be about profits, yes, but profits must have a purpose. And entrepreneurship and being an entrepreneur helps me fulfill that purpose.
I have to say though, Rosh, I have never looked at it as a problem solver. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. What do entrepreneurs do? Entrepreneurs provide a solution, right? They solve a problem. And when people come to me and say, Roche, I have a problem, I say, hey, hang on a second. Let's look at this through a new lens. Let's have a paradigm shift here, because what you're really saying is that you have an opportunity. There are challenges, and then there are opportunities. There are problems, and then there are opportunities. You look at entrepreneurs around the world, the successful entrepreneurs, and we see a lot of movement towards social entrepreneurship, because what it's doing is that it's solving a social need. There's a want somewhere, there's a gap somewhere, and through your solution, you're able to solve that problem. In my personal life, one of the problems when I first got started was that businesses weren't leveraging the internet. Physical businesses are having a hard time today. I think everyone knows this. The traditional media is not working like it used to. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace. There's a lot of competition in the marketplace, and the problem was that businesses were failing. And I had an opportunity to come in as a problem solver to say, hey, there's this thing out there called the internet, and we need to leverage it. For internet marketing, mobile media marketing, social media marketing, that was the solution we brought to the table. And in that way, we became a problem solver, because we were able to take companies, organizations, businesses that were literally on the verge of collapse. One of the businesses is in Long Island, and they had 6 weeks before they were going to completely liquidate, and we've been able to turn that company around because of what we did through the internet, thereby bringing an entrepreneurial solution to the forefront.
Roche, is there a case, as a success case that you can, it's okay to share with us, not in terms of giving the identity of the player and so on, but what were some of the things you did or strategies that you implemented?
Yeah, sure. We've got so many case studies, Selwyn. We work with companies, we work with small businesses, we work with corporations, we work with people who we refer to as freelancers or servicepreneurs, and there's success stories for everyone. One of the biggest ones that we talked about is what we did, again referring back to Long Island, with Cheaper Peepers. It's a small discount store. They were weeks away from liquidating one of their stores. Things weren't going well, and we were able to dive in, to jump in, to use internet marketing to really bring more traffic. In 6 weeks after implementing everything, they had more customers than they had that entire year, and they've gone on to have 4 branches across Long Island. And there are numerous success stories. I don't want to put people on the spot and call their names, where people were able to essentially use this blueprint, use this process, and see success as an entrepreneur. And I think I should mention though, Selwyn, that there's no one road to success in entrepreneurship. You ask 1,000 entrepreneurs, what's the key to being successful as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and they'll have 1,000 different answers.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than one way to approach this. Everybody has a unique story, a unique blueprint. The one that we tend to teach, the one that we tend to share, the ones that have worked for us personally, and that's why we have all these different terms. Entrepreneurship, knowledge entrepreneurship, micro entrepreneurship. You've got people in the infopreneur space, in the mompreneur space, in the webpreneur space, in the techpreneur space. Because people have sort of found their own niche of success in this broad category we refer to as entrepreneurship.
Rosh, what do you say to um, a business person, especially from the older generation, who didn't? Well, the internet is pretty young, very very young, but who doesn't understand cyberspace and is thinking, what is the sense of investing money in internet marketing? How are people going to find me anyway? I mean, this place, it is so vast, so many millions, billions of people on the internet. Why would anybody see my ad?
Yeah. It's a great question, and the simple answer is to look around. That's it. Just look around, and you'll see people's faces in their phones. You'll see people's fingers and thumbs be busy on their phones, and that's the opportunity, right? That's the opportunity to get in front of people. We've moved towards so much data and data collection on things on Facebook that I don't think people realize the value that is put in front of us for free. As an entrepreneur, all you have to do is go to Google, look at Google Trends, look at Google Analytics. All you have to do is go to Facebook, look at Facebook Insights, look at Facebook Audience Insights, and you're going to have a huge amount of data that will help you to understand that you can get in front of those people for a fraction of the cost. And it's not simply about taking what worked in traditional media, taking what works in the newspaper or on radio and TV, and just transplanting that and throwing that onto social media. I don't think that's really going to work. You have to understand the platform first and foremost. You have to understand the demographic, but more than that, you've got to understand the psychographic, right? How do people think? What are they reading? What Facebook groups are they in? And when you realize all the data in front of you, you realize that you have an opportunity to carve out a niche for yourself to get in front of these people. And that's where we talk about sales funnels, and we talk about value ladders, and all that good stuff, which I know we'll dive into as the weeks go by.
Right.
But really, just look around and understand that you have an opportunity to get in front of people in Guyana. If you wanted to get in front of the single mother of two who lives in Berbice, who likes to watch, reruns of Oprah on the weekend, you can get in front of that person very easily because of the data that's available. You know, what we say is that if you market to everybody, you market to nobody. Hyper segmentation is the name of the game, and
Hmm.
you can do that through internet marketing.
Rosh, here is this young, and I say young, but I am not going to ask your age on the show. You will tell people that yourself. But here's this very young medical doctor, shifted into entrepreneurship, very successful in Guyana. Part of that success is that you empower young people. You sort of guide them or teach them about entrepreneurship, teach them about self reliance. Um, why are you still in Guyana, Roche?
Mm. Because I think there's work to be done. You know, growing up in Guyana, being attached to Guyana, understanding that we have such a massive opportunity to empower young leaders. We have an opportunity to create this potential that we always talk about. That drives me, Selwyn. I always talk about you know the drivers for me and my team, and we sort of coined this phrase called the core four, where we talk about the four sets of life that really push us. And that is to say that we want to empower people with the right mindset. That's the first set. We want to empower people with the right skill set. We want to empower people with the right tool sets. You can have the skills, but if you don't have the right tools, you're not going to get very far. But I think most importantly is the last one, which is what we refer to as the heart set. You know, is your heart in the right place? And Guyana has my heart. Guyana's always had my heart. Guyana will continue to have my heart. And I just see this as a place where we've got a lot of work to do um, to make Guyana the nation that we wanted to make. We talk about nation building. We believe that nation building happens through people building. We believe that national development happens through people development, and that's the core reasons as to what drives us to do what we do every day.
Roche, you see every week a lot of young people. They seek you out because you have the knowledge, you have the skills, you have the right attitude, and you have the right heart set. What are they talking about these days? What are we not hearing? My generation and older, I don't want to date myself too much, but what is the older generation not hearing? You know, what is the government not hearing? What are we missing by not engaging you guys enough, not paying the right amount of attention? Tell us, Roche.
When my fellow millennials, if you will, come and we talk and we discuss challenges. I think in the specific space that I'm in, dealing with a lot of startups, dealing with a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, so wearing that cap, one of the things that we hear is that we're not given a chance, and
Mm.
people don't take us seriously. There aren't enough access points to resources. I'm unable to get funding. These are a lot of the things that I hear on a daily basis, and I often have to say to them that, look, hang on a second, let's not go into sort of victim mentality, right? Let's not say that they don't understand. What I often say is it's not enough to just show up. You have to showcase, right? You have to showcase your skill sets.
Mm.
You have to be able to showcase what you can do. We've got to stop complaining and talking about not being taken seriously. And we have to understand that they're going to take us seriously if we show a level of competence. So, that's a conversation that happens on a weekly basis. And it always brings me back to the definition of entrepreneurship, or the definition that we use, which is to say that if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, if you're a startup entrepreneur, you've got to understand that entrepreneurship is more than just a series of skill sets, right? It's broader than the creation of a new business venture. And what we say is it comes back to the first set, right? The first core four, right? At its core, entrepreneurship is a mindset, Selwyn. It's a way of thinking, right? It's a way of acting. It's a way of approach. It's as young people, as millennials, it's about imagining new ways to solve problems and new ways of creating value. There's this quote that I always share. I came across it a couple years ago, and I fell in love with it. And it goes like this: you can't win in life if you're losing in your mind, right? You can't win in life if you're losing in your mind. And a lot of the times, I see a lot of our young entrepreneurs who are already giving up mentally, uh, and I think that's where it all stems from. So yes, we folks might not listen to us, but we have to give them a reason to listen to us.
Mhm. What frustrates you the most about the environment you're in?
Um, Great question. You know, I think we need more of a can-do attitude at all levels. I think it ties back into mindset in a lot of different ways. Um, Sometimes you see people with an amazing idea, and it's time to roll up your sleeves. It's time to get up and get to work, and you notice that maybe there's this lack of this internal fuel. Maybe there's this lack of stamina, and that's really important. Um, you don't want to be an individual who, after hitting that first bump, after hitting that first obstacle, you give in and you give up. There's this Chinese proverb, fall down seven, get up eight, right? You wanna be able to learn from mistakes and the mistakes of others. And I think if we all tackle mindset together at all levels, private sector, public sector, leadership, our servant leaders, everyone across the board, I think I think we'll be in a much smoother place. And it ties back to a lot of what we talk about in Franklin Covey, which is habit two, which is to begin with the end in mind, right? I think what's really frustrating is that we might have a lot of skill sets, we might have a lot of energy, but perhaps we're not moving together. There seems to be a lot of friction at all levels, and it can be frustrating. And I think if more of us realize that collaboration is key, and that we've all got to pull each other up where we can, help each other up, shoulder some of those burdens, we'd start to move a lot faster. I think you know culture is really important. And that's what we talk about at Front and Covey, that the culture is the ultimate competitive advantage. You can take care of a lot of the systems issues. You could take care of a lot of the skill set issues if we all are unified in our vision and in the type of culture that we want to have. And this is not, I'm not just talking about it at a very personal level here. I'm talking at a personal leadership level. I'm also talking about at a team level. I'm also talking about at an organizational level. But more than that, at a country level, I think we need to see more of that. And again, that's a big part of why we do what we do.
What I ask you that to ask you this: what is most encouraging to you?
What's encouraging to me is that I'm seeing movement. You know, when you look at the data, when you look at the stats, you see more entrepreneurs than ever before. You see more people stepping up and standing out than ever before. I'm very excited about what Honorable Minister Kathy Hughes is doing in the ICT sector.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really creating ICT hubs across Guyana, focusing a lot on the hinterland. I'm very happy with the moves that GT&T has been making recently with the Blaze Internet. I'm a subscriber of that, and indeed, we're getting phenomenal speeds. So I'm excited that the tools are starting to appear. I'm very excited that the right policies are starting to be implemented, and I'm very encouraged by what I see with a lot of our young entrepreneurs who realize that yes, we've got better resources, but we shouldn't be constrained to those resources. We've got to continue to be very resourceful every step of the way. I'm very encouraged by people who come through our programs and again, roll up their sleeves and get to work. You know, a lot of times people are unclear, they're confused, and to put them in a clarity session to ask them about what matters to them isn't necessarily the right thing, because that's more of them being stuck up here. You know, what I'm encouraged by is that I'm seeing more people just step up and take action. By taking action, you'll learn and you'll realize what it is that you like and what it is that you don't like. You know, it will nudge you in the right direction. You know, there's this book, right? Ready, fire, aim, instead of ready, aim, fire, because it's about just taking action.
Just leaping.
What's that?
Just leaping.
Yes, just taking the leap, just taking the leap, just taking the jump, and you're going to learn. You know, they look at, social scientists have looked at this, and there are two things that really separates the mega successful entrepreneurs from the ones who are making it, but maybe not reaching that level of success that they want to hit. And it comes down to grit, you know, just sticking in the game and just doing what it is that you have to do, but also, in addition to grit, being decisive. Being decisive is very important as an entrepreneur. You know, a lot of times we'll get stuck up here. We can make money up here. We can talk about the change up here, but it's gonna need you to execute for us to get to the point that we even understand what makes us tick, what makes us passionate. You're not going to find out, you know, sitting on a couch or laying in bed. You got to go out there and do it.
So someone is thinking about starting a new business, Rosh. They call you up. The ideation process.
Yes.
Do you have a set of key steps?
Um, you know, again, it's not necessary to follow a single blueprint, but
Okay.
it is to say, you know, have an entrepreneurial eye, right? Put on what we call our entrepreneurial glasses. There are ideas all around us. There are opportunities all around us. You know, it's one of the things we talk about when we're talking to startup entrepreneurs in the Masterclass Institute, where we say, look, you're in a vehicle, perhaps once a day, whether it's in a bus, your own car, maybe you're the driver, maybe you're the passenger, and you know, instead of us jumping on our phones and scrolling on Facebook, what if we actually took a second to step back and look around to see where people are frustrated, look around to see where the challenges exist. You know, and it's an activity that we actually do in the very first week of our now 8-week entrepreneurship masterclass, where after we go through the session, we ask our participants to go home, and when you come back the next week, what we want you to do is to come up with 70 business ideas. That's 70 business ideas. And what that does is that it starts to stretch your muscle. It starts to stretch your entrepreneurial muscle, and it forces you to put on those entrepreneurial glasses. A lot of people think they have a whole ton of ideas, but if you were to sit down and write them all out, you'd realize that you probably get stuck after 6, maybe 10, maybe you get to 20. When you're forced to come up with lucrative business ideas, 70 business ideas, it forces you to really think things through. So I'll tell people all the time, you're a passenger, you're a driver, you're at a stoplight, and you're surrounded by businesses. Look at those businesses and think about how many people are walking out right now. How many people are walking in? How many people are coming out with bags? Are those bags from the store? Are those bags filled? I wonder what the business owner pays for utility. I wonder what else could be done. You know, that signage looks really important. It looks really cool, but what if there was a different spin on it? What if we updated that signage? What if we did some guerrilla marketing and we put something cool outside on the sidewalk? See, by asking ourselves these questions, we start to look at everything very differently. But again, you bring it back. You bring it back to where the challenge is, where are the problems, and how can you solve them? And then once you've sort of found that idea, you've got to understand that the market is the market. And the market wants what the market wants. I know people who have amazing business ideas, and when I see them 6 months later, or 1 year later, or 2 years later, guess what? They still have amazing business ideas, right? They haven't taken action. They haven't gone out there and tested this thing to see if it's something that the market wants. And we just keep simmering this idea in our head. So that's where we talk about the MVP, but we've upgraded the MVP, right? The MVP really stands for minimum viable product. It's about creating, the bare bones version. Somebody comes to me with an idea, I say, well, did you test it? Did you put it out there? Did people respond to it? And that's what the MVP is, the bare bones version. But we've upgraded it, like I said. So now we've got the M, V, V, VP. So that's three V's, right? So instead of it just being the minimum viable product, it's now viable. It must also be valuable, and it must also be validating. This process must validate what it is that you're putting out to the market. Because again, I've seen people do this, Selwyn. They've invested tons of money around an idea. They launch this massive mega store, and 2 weeks later, no one walks in. 4 weeks later, they're struggling because they didn't test. They didn't take the time to do the research. They didn't look at the data, and they didn't launch that MVP. The internet makes it very, very easy to do this. You don't have to use the internet. And if it fails on the internet, it doesn't mean that it's going to fail as a business, but that is a tool that you can use. I can't tell you how many times, Selwyn, that I personally just launched a concept of an idea, just created some beautiful branding, created a program, created a syllabus, and put it out there to see if people will respond. And then based on people responding, based on the phone ringing, based on the messages that we get, then we say, aha, we've got something here. We can go and build an entire business around this. That's essentially how the Masterclass Institute got started. We had this idea that startup entrepreneurs needed help in Guyana. We weren't sure if they were going to be responsive to what we had. So what we did was simply create the Entrepreneurship Masterclass, a 4-week program. We mapped out what that would look like. We put it out into the world. We saw people respond in droves. We booked out the first few sessions without really getting aggressive about it. And we realized, you know what? We've got an idea here. It's being validated. People are voting for this idea with their wallets. And what we want to do is we want to grow. We want to continue to offer new dimensions of courses and programs. And that's what ultimately led to the launch of the Masterclass Institute, which I'm very happy to say is a local brand, is a Guyanese brand. And with what's happening with the Masterclass Institute early next year, I think we're going to make a lot of fellow Guyanese happy to see that something can be created in Guyana and can move into the region.
Congratulations on that successful launch anyway. But Rosh, how do people find you? How do they find your organization?
I'm easy to find. Just type Rosh Khan into Facebook or type Rosh Khan into Google. My Facebook fan page is facebook.com/Dr. Rosh Khan. People can call me on 664-5848 or our office line 225.
Rosh, give me that number. It came out very fast. Let me repeat it. 646.
Yeah, 664-5848. That's my personal mobile. That's what I use.
Wait. Sorry, Rosh. Start over.
Yeah, sure. 664. 5848.
584. 664-5848. And Rosh is in a 592 area code.
You got it.
Right. So those of you in the continental US or outside of Guyana, it's a 592 area code. The number is 664-5848. Rosh, we're going to be doing many parts of, call it a webinar or whatever. I guess we've come up with a suitable name as the weeks roll by. Do you have any idea what you want to talk about next week? Or
yeah, yes, Owen. I think we dive more into this. We covered. We talked about mindset here today. We talked about the need to be resilient, to have grit, to be decisive. We gave the participants some ideas in terms of how to start looking around for ideas, some growth work, if you will. We don't like the term homework. We like growth work, but it's work that makes you grow. And would be to start looking. Take the next week before we come on the next show to start looking, to start digging, to start finding lucrative business ideas, and really to put on your entrepreneurial glasses. Because what we can do next week is now say, you've got this idea, maybe you're passionate about something, maybe you have a skill set about something, but remember that passion needs to intersect with practicality. You've got to get very practical, right? Yes, it can tie to a purpose, but business must be about profits. So we'll start to talk about how we suss out an idea, if you will. We'll go through our assessment to say, well, is this going to make it or not? And how can we tell? And then we'll take it from there, Selwyn.
Awesome, Rosh. The time flies, but
Time flies.
I mean, it was quality. It's not always quantity, but quality. And I want to thank you so much for spending the time with CWS.
And Selwyn, I just want to say thank you to you. You've really opened up your platform. You've given a platform to youths. I think this is so important for youths. I know you've been searching far and wide to get as much people as possible, all different levels, all sorts of diversity. And I just want to say thank you to you, Selwyn, for spearheading this. This is important, and I hope more people follow your footsteps.
You're welcome, brother. Take care. And
All
have a
right,
good
take care,
evening.
Selwyn.
All right. Bye-bye.
Very nicely done.